Welcome to the Board of Directors agenda meeting for February 12th, 2019. This is our opportunity to review the agenda for our formal board meeting that will be held on February 19, 2019. Director Hines has requested that we defer action on item 7 until March 5th. Do I have a motion to defer item 7 until March 5th? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. We can now proceed to review the proposed agenda. Board members, are there any questions regarding items 1 through 8? Any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll continue to move on. Board members, are there any questions regarding items 9 through 13? Seeing none, are there any objections to adding 10 through 12 in the two grouped items? Nine through 13, I mean. Sorry about that. Going once.
No objection.
There are no objections in addition to...
Mayor,
Yes.
there's no reason not to do so, but 12 may end up requiring a hearing. I can't imagine anybody objecting to the reduction of improvement district levies, but the reason it's on the agenda is so they can speak. So we may need to look at that Tuesday night and see if we can keep it grouped.
Sure. So we will, per the parliamentarian, any addition for a public hearing that will be held next week regarding this issuance of the water reclamation system revenue bonds. Seeing none, we'll now have a report from Emily Cox, who is our Interim Governmental Affairs Relations Director, regarding the current legislative session.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board. Tonight I wanted to give you, I'm here to give a report on our agenda and also several other bills. So first, in regards to our legislative package, House Bill 1002 is the online sales tax bill that accomplishes our goal by requiring out-of-state sellers to collect and remit sales tax. And the bill is sponsored by Representative Douglas, and it's in the House Revenue and Tax Committee. And I also wanted to share with you that when Governor Hutchinson presented his proposed balanced budget prior to the session, he made it clear that his proposed balanced budget assumed that online sales tax legislation would pass during the session. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I've heard that it's possible another bill might be filed to address online sales tax, so I'm watching for that, and I'll let you know if the focus shifts to a different bill number other than House Bill 1002. The second item on our agenda is to clarify the ability to use short-term financing for electronic data and the law pertaining to short-term financing obligations for tangible personal property was written a few decades ago. And of course, technology has changed tremendously since then. So we'd like to update the law to accommodate purchases pertaining to things like the cloud. And staff has worked with bond counsel to draft legislation. And since we presented the item to you for inclusion in the city's agenda, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board issued a new rule that may impact our ability to pursue legislation, but I'm working with staff and others to try and work through that. But I wanted y'all to know there's an outside force out there that's happened since you've heard about that. And the last item in our agenda is to toughen anti-intimidation statutes for criminal cases, and a bill has been drafted, and I'm talking with stakeholders about the next steps to get that one in the hopper as well. Reducing the administrative fee that's charged by the state to collect local sales taxes is something that we have pursued in the past, and it's in the league's agenda again this time, and it would be beneficial to us. And a bill has been filed, but it has been on the deferred list, so I don't expect it to go anywhere, but I wanted to share that with you all. House Bill 1029 is a monuments bill that has come up several times. And this time the bill sponsor is a different person than it has been in the past. And he's told me that he does not intend to harm cities. So I think an amendment will be forthcoming that will help solve our issues of local control in that bill. House Bill 1402 on special elections was filed last week, and it narrows how often elections can occur. So I wanted to make sure y'all were aware of that bill since it's a concern. And then Senate Bill 179 by Senator Johnson regarding reorganization of municipal government provides that the mayor and board members who have served less than 2 years of a term will continue and complete their terms of office if a city changes forms of government. And it was amended on Friday. And now there's an additional option for how for getting a petition, and it could be done by an ordinance of the board or by the 15% of electors. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And I know Chancellor Patterson from UAMS mentioned to you when he was here last that they were interested in National Cancer Institute designation for UAMS, and there are a couple of companion bills out there on that topic. So I just wanted to share that with you. And that is my report to you on our agenda and some key bills. And I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Cox, for that great presentation. I know you spent a lot of time and effort at the state capitol representing all of us, and want to make certain you know how much we appreciate you. Director Hines?
Thank you. Emily, quick question on Senator Hester's bill restricting our ability to, where does that stand, ability for us to put building and code restrictions on? I know it's been amended several times, and the Municipal League was asking for opinions, and it kind of gets into our self-rule and autonomy here. Where does that stand right now?
So when staff first saw the bill, the impact wasn't that vast because historic districts are not included and that kind of thing. So just, that's one thing to know.
Okay.
And then the league was asked to work out an amendment, and they did, and now the league is neutral. And the bill has passed, it got out of the committee and out of the Senate, and it has not technically, as of a couple of hours ago, I have not seen an amendment, but I do understand one is forthcoming.
Okay. Well, I just know based on what I saw from Municipal League communications through mayors and folks that there wasn't support from it from majority of the cities, just based on self-rule issues. The other question is, didn't we have some legislation run through the Municipal League to stiffen penalties on witness intimidation, that type of stuff? Where is that?
That is in our package, and I'm working with stakeholders on getting it filed. So I hope to have an update for you in the next time I'm here.
Okay, super. I know that's been a big issue that we have some folks that I know through talking to previous prosecutors and stuff. So I've got some interest in that. So if you'll keep me posted, and if you need some arm twisting of some of our local legislatures to find a sponsor, I'd be more than happy to make a phone call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Wright?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Scott. Two things, Emily.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any legislation coming down regarding the rights of renters?
There is an implied warranty bill that was filed in the last couple of days, and the number escapes me, and I will definitely include it in the email I send out.
Okay, please do. That's of a particular interest to citizens here in Little Rock.
Yes, ma'am.
They're very desirous to see that strengthened. Okay, and the next one, I need you to repeat for me what you said regarding the board of directors and the change of the form of government. Will you repeat that one, please?
Sure. It's Senate Bill 179 by Senator Johnson regarding reorganization of municipal government, and it provides that the mayor and board members who have served less than 2 years of a term would continue and complete their terms of office if a city changes forms of government. And the amendment from Friday afternoon also allows for an ordinance as opposed to, for a petition, as opposed to 15% of the electors signing a petition.
Okay,
That-
That's what I thought I
As I
heard.
understand it, yes, ma'am.
okay, thank you.
Director Richardson?
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Emily, thank you for your report, and Bruce and Victor, and Mayor, I know we're working on a rent inspection ordinance. I didn't hear you make reference to the landlord tenant bill. I think it's House Bill 1410.
I think that's it too.
And are we having any kind of monitoring on that or lobbying on that? Because, 53% of residents south of 630 are renters, and that number is increasing. And we all know the neighborhoods that have a disproportionate number of renters are experiencing some of the most negative outcomes with respect to education, crime, ability to move up, and with respect to being having the best sorts of outcomes for them in their livelihoods. And we have a disproportionate number of marginalized children, youth, and families. So are we looking at 1410 at all? Do we have taken
Yes,
any points
sir.
on that?
Yes, and I have been involved with the Landlord Tenant Coalition. Yes, so,
Well, that 53% south of 630 is higher than any rate in the state or the city, and it's an unfortunate reality of a part of the city that I happen to represent. So I wanted to make sure we were spending some time looking at that and hopefully lobbying, and Victor trying to make sure we're connected to what we're doing with our rent inspection program. I think it's something that's very, very important that we kind of match those together and make sure we're all singing from the same hymnal with respect to that.
thank you.
Director Adcock?
Yes. Emily, I had a telephone call this afternoon concerning a House bill that was concerning the amount of money that did not require a RFP or RFQ that the city manager or the mayor could have. Do you have any information on that? It's had passed the House.
I think that is in reference to House Bill 1041 by Representative Ladyman. I could have the numbers wrong. And I can provide you with additional information. I don't want to speak off the top of my
Okay,
head.
and where is he a representative?
Northeast Arkansas,
Northeast, okay. If you would, I'd like to see the
Yes, ma'am.
information on that.
of course.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. Director Hendricks?
Thank you. My concern is, do we have printed information on what you have reported on? If not, I would like for the mayor to make sure that we get copies of what you're talking about. That was a good report, real long. There's no way I can remember all that. Okay?
Judge Hendricks, we send it out every Friday and you get a memo.
You will?
We do, we have. But we'll update it because obviously it changes just about every week. But yeah, we send it Friday.
Have you to my computer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Make it more detailed.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor Scott. On Thursday at noon at the Capitol, there's a press conference on that House Bill 1410. And they're trying to get a good group of folks, a large crowd, to attend that.
1410 is,
On the landlord tenant bill.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, must put you to my computer.
Thursday.
Thursday at noon.
on the ground or inside?
Inside.
Director Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Director Webb, for mentioning that. I forgot to mention that, but I think it's important that we help make sure we have a nice crowd there to show the importance of this and what it means to our city. With respect to, I want to dovetail Jones' point about RFQs and RFPs. Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong. The discretionary spending amount that the city manager has is up to $49,999. Is that correct? And anything above $25,000 has to come before us?
You're right on the discretionary authority. What has to come before you all has more to do with the type. For instance, all lobbying contracts have to come before the board.
And I know the mayor doesn't have a discretionary spending account. So would any change of form of government allow that to happen or require that to happen with respect to his discretionary spending amount or authority?
It depends on what the change is. If it changes to mayor council, there are provisions in the mayor council statutes that say what the mayor can do without city council approval.
But the current form of government, Mayor Scott doesn't have a discretionary account then, does he?
I'll answer that question. At this time, to my knowledge, I do not have a discretionary account. However, under the existing ordinance, which we did adhere to on January the 14th, and when we reorganized government, that is possible if that was provided through the direction and the duties from the mayor as the chief executive officer to the chief administrative officer and as that is Mr. Moore. But again, we are in the middle of a current budget period, and if one would have that type of discretion, you would once need to amend the budget, and part of that ordinance is that's where the CEO and the chief administrative officer works together to prepare the budget and then receive a board vote for that budget. So it would be embedded in that. So it's possible. That has not been done yet since we reorganized the government on January the 14th. From that standpoint.
So reorganizing the government, can that be done unilaterally, Tom, or does that have to require a vote from us or the residents?
Currently, it requires a petition effort, which would be 15% of the number of votes in the first election for mayor, not the runoff election, in the last election. And I don't know what that number is. But as Ms. Cox has said, that one of the bills that's out there right now would allow an elected body to refer to the people a vote on that issue, but it would still take a vote, I think.
But it can be done without a petition if it was passed?
No, not
here?
right now.
Right now. So are there any prohibitions for any city employees or city staff from actually collecting signatures, or any prohibition from participating in that petition gathering?
There's all kinds of prohibitions in terms of doing something during work hours because you're still being paid by the city. It's an issue campaign which has a little bit more flexibility than a partisan political campaign, but you're pretty much limited. You can't use, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, you can't use city machines, you can't use city things of that nature.
So can you summarize for us those prohibitions and summarize for us the implications of what we're looking at? And Mayor Scott, I'm supportive, but summarize for us the next steps and how we move forward with this and those implications, you and Mr. Moore, the outcomes of what it is we're proposing or discussing. Because I know it's going to change from what I've heard or read, that currently we're looking at some changes with respect to supervision of different departments and department heads, and
That was done in 2007.
that was part of that.
Yes.
Well, I voted against that. So any other changes would have to go to the citizens via petition.
The phrase "any other changes" is kind of broad. If we want to go to a strict mayor-council form of government where there is no city manager, that would take a vote of the people. If we wanted to go to a city administrator form of government, which is what they've got in Fort Smith, that would take a vote of the people.
So any of those discussions they have to happen up here? We can't have any of those discussions in executive sessions at all?
Not an executive session, no.
Okay, thank you. But any kind of summary you can give to me and my colleagues where we are with that and how we're going to move forward, how we need to move forward, or how we can or cannot move forward, I appreciate that.
Director Richardson, I will be happy to do that, but let me make this suggestion. Mayor Scott has said that either at the end of this month or sometime in March, he is going to be making a presentation as a result of his transition committees there. We don't know what the status is of the bills that were just pointed out to the board that may make it possible to refer change into the form of government. I'll be happy to provide anything you want, but anything I could provide now is going to be premature. And I wonder if we might at least get the mayor's input and then kind of see where those statutes are before I do anything.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Scott.
Thank you, Director Richardson. Ms. Cox, thank you so much. If there's no more questions from Ms. Cox, again, I want to thank you. I know it takes a lot of time and effort to be at the state capitol, and we appreciate you very much. Well, that being said, are there any more questions to the order?
Mayor, just one last point. I want to,
Oh, do it again for me. Sorry about that, Director. Director Richardson.
That's okay. One last point. I think I made reference to this during our last agenda meeting. I want to thank you for getting us out of here before 4:30, my friend.
Well, it is my goal and effort to always to do that. Director Peck, now let's keep that in mind.
I promise, I'll be fast. I just want to invite my colleagues and anybody in the audience to Operation Song. Some of you will know this is a project I've been working on for a while. It's pairing active military and veterans and their families with professional songwriters. We're having our second retreat at the MacArthur Museum of Arkansas Military History with a concert and a reception and some new songwriting. Thank you to Director Eckert and Stephen McAteer. So you're all invited Friday at 6 p.m. at MacArthur. Was that fast? No?
It was. Okay. It was. We're still at 4:21. Do we have any more questions? Seeing one, seeing none. Thank you so much for everyone for tonight. I really do appreciate you and look forward to seeing everyone at our next meeting on February the 19th. Meeting adjourned.